والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى من تبعهم بإحسان ودعا بدعوتهم إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. Okay, so basically I was thinking about how we should conduct the sessions. Before, can everyone hear me clearly with the mic? Yeah. Okay. Let's just shut that window. Yes, we had a few. So we started the tafsir session in Ramadan. So unfortunately, we only got to the 20th juz, and there's 10 juz that are remaining. So that needs doing as well. So we had the last 10 juz of the Quran remaining. Before we were going through the book Manazil al-Sa'irin. For those of us who are new, we were going through the book Manazil al-Sa'irin with the commentary of Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyah, Madarij al-Salikin. So we're going through, but that was very in-depth level of spirituality. So then I was thinking to make it slightly more basic in terms of, so I was thinking not for yourselves, what do you need? I was thinking, what do I need? So I was thinking maybe a book on the illnesses of the heart. Something that if you're a mother, if you're a father, if you're a teenager, everyone can relate to it. How do we purify our hearts? What are the illnesses that a person can have in their hearts, like anger, jealousy, hatred, love of the world, greed, malice, all of these things. So if we were to be aware of the illnesses of our heart, then our lives as a whole would be so much better. Our relationships with our husbands or wives, with our children, generally in life, in every aspect, if we were able to identify these and slowly start working on our illnesses. So I was thinking maybe if we do one of these and go through all of first start with the major illnesses of the heart, and then we'll break it down, which is something that we can also do inshallah. Today I thought let's start with the foundations of the ruh, the qalb, and the nafs, and the next lesson will build up upon the illnesses of the heart inshallah. So today we'll make it a foundational session, easy, but it might be not easy, it might be slightly difficult as well with quite a few new terms. So we will have to concentrate a bit, and we'll have to grasp a few concepts as well. So this will lay down the foundation of the knowledge which is to come inshallah. Most of this stuff we should all know already. So this will be a reminder for myself and for everyone else as well. So we should know all of this stuff. So think of this not as something you're learning something new, but something that we're just reminding ourselves to lay the foundation for our next session inshallah. So think of this as just a transition for our next session. So we're going to start off with the inner dimensions of the human body. Not biology in terms of how our cells are made. This is not our realm. But the spiritual body. And so I'm going to use the board for this. And everyone try and remember these terms. These are basic terms of, you can say, tazkiyah, of purification, which we as Muslims, we should try and know. And we should be familiar with these terms. So on the board, I'm going to go through let's start off with the core. What's the spiritual center of a Muslim? The spiritual core. What am I referring to? So here, I want answers from everyone else, and I'm just going to put it on the board. Yeah? So you guys will be teaching me and telling me what to write down on the board. The heart, mashallah. What's the Arabic term? Okay, so in the center, right in the center, we have the qalb. Muhiz, do you know if there's a better pen anyway? Sheikh Muhiz? Or me? So right in this core, the core and the powerhouse of the believer is the qalb. So this is where the fitrah, everyone heard of the term fitrah? No, he's not writing, I'm writing. Perfect. Jazakallah khairan. So this is the seat of the fitrah. This is where the natural disposition of a person is, the natural inclination towards morality, towards connecting with Allah, recognizing Allah, and so on and so on. So this is the core, the seat of moral and spiritual perception. And everything, it flows through the qalb. So this is the inner heart. The sense of fitrah is over here. This is where you have the illnesses of the heart. You have greed, malice, hatred, or if you have good qualities, love of Allah, fear of Allah. All of this falls under the falls under the realm of the qalb. Now, what's pulling the qalb down? Actually, no, let's start up.
Oh wait, I'll start. You might want to.
What's that?
Yeah. It wasn't showing up on the camera.
Okay. So this is, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the heart, this is what Allah talks about. So our very purpose in life is to preserve this heart. It's to go through the world, making sure that we return back to Allah with a pure heart. So Allah says, إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. The purpose to Ibrahim alayhi salam, Allah says, the purpose is to return back to Allah بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ, with a pure and purified heart. So this is the qalb. Now, there's a force over here. There's an energy that pulls it down. And there's an energy that pulls it up. Anyone know what the energy, either of these energies are?
Nafs.
Where would the nafs be, up or down? Okay, mashallah. So we have the nafs. The nafs can also be translated as ego. We'll come to it later. The nafs. So nafs is an energy that's pulling the qalb downwards. What's pulling it upwards? Sorry?
The soul.
Good, the soul. Now, what's the Arabic term? And we're going to come into more detail. I'm just giving you a basic overview, then we're going to dive a bit more detail, especially on the qalb. We're going to focus on the qalb afterwards. Good, so what's the Arabic term for soul? The ruh. The ruh is something that we know very little of. We don't know much. Allah says, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ. They ask you about the ruh. قُلِ الرُّوحُ مِنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّي. They say that the ruh is from the command of my Lord. So we do not have much knowledge on this. But it is a force that drives upwards. So now, when the qalb is pure and it's free from its illnesses and diseases of the heart, then it strengthens the ruh. And the ruh, what it does, this is naturally drawn towards Allah. This is naturally wants to worship Allah. You know, when a person has this feeling, I want to pray my 5 times salah, I want to recite the Quran, I want to do dhikr of Allah, I dislike disobeying Allah, or we find pleasure in the obedience of Allah, this is when the ruh is strong. So when the qalb is purified, it allows the ruh to do what it needs to do. Return back to Allah and want to connect to Allah. Everyone understood? But the opposite force is the nafs. What's the nafs? What's the nafs? You can explain to me what the nafs is.
Isn't it kind of like your desires and whatnot?
Okay, good. So nafs has an element of your desires. So sometimes you call this is your nafs making you do this, meaning your desires. Okay, so yes, the desires are within nafs. What else? What else can you tell me about the nafs? It's your lower self, meaning like your carnal desires. Okay, good. Anything else about the nafs? What else can you tell me about the nafs?
There's 3 types.
Okay, good, which we're going to go into a bit later, inshallah. The 3 types. What are the 3 types?
Nafs al-lawama, nafs al-mutma'inna, nafs al-ammara.
Okay, good. So the nafs can be divided into 3 categories as well. Nafs, which is constantly commanding you towards good, towards evil. The nafs that reproaches you. Sometimes you do good, or sometimes you do evil, for example, and nafs feel guilty. And the nafs tells you off. Why did you do that? You feel shame and guilt. Or sometimes it reproaches even after you do good. The nafs tells you, why did you only do this much? Why couldn't you do more? So this is the guilty nafs. Always reproaching you. And then you have the nafs al-mutma'inna, which is a content nafs. We'll come to that later. I'm just brushing through it now. Okay, is the nafs inherently evil? Is it inherently evil? So this is the good force Allah has created in you, and this is the evil force Allah has created in you. Is it inherently bad? Why not? Doesn't the nafs always tell you to do bad? Or do good people tell you to do bad? Or is it inherently evil?
Well, some stuff you need to do, like you need to eat and drink to survive, and that's kind of part of it.
Okay, good. Nafs, the way you think about the nafs is the energy Allah has created within you. Like your desires. The energy in itself is not bad. You need to eat, you need to procreate, you need to, do all of these things to live in life, isn't it? Yeah? Let's say the desire for food. This is part of your nafs, isn't it? Yeah? If you did not have any desire for food, then you'd end up starving, you'll forget to eat. So this is raw energy Allah has created within you. But of course that raw energy could be used for good and it could be used for bad. So your nafs either becomes a master over the heart and leads to ruin, and this is when you fail. When your nafs becomes the master of the heart. Or the qalb, it remains in control and the nafs is subservient to that. If your raw energy is subservient and subordinate to the qalb, then you become successful, isn't it? What's the surah Allah takes the most oaths in? One after another, one after another, one after another. The surah Allah takes the most oaths.
Surah Fajr.
No, there are quite a few oaths in there, yeah, but it's not the most.
Surah Al-Shams.
Good, mashallah. Surah Al-Shams. وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا. And by the sun and its light. وَالْقَمَرِ ذَا تَلَاهَا. And by the moon as it follows it, and so on and so on. So oath after oath after oath after oath. This is the surah that Allah takes the most oaths in. And the purpose of taking oaths, when someone takes an oath, is to mention something important. When someone says, I swear by Allah, the reason why you swear by Allah, because you're going to mention something important. So Allah takes oaths by the natural occurrences, by the sun, because these things which are great, Allah has created, to make us understand. And what's the purpose of these oaths? What's the end product of these oaths? What does Allah say right at the end? Allah says, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. Successful is the one who has purified it. And the failed is the one who has soiled their nafs, who has tainted their nafs with kufr, with shirk, with disbelief and sins. So we have the nafs, and it's supposed to be in control, controlled by the qalb. Yeah? Now there's another force that goes hand in hand with qalb. There's another force over here. And they go hand in hand. Both of these together, they keep the nafs in check. And know what this other force is? Good, the aql. What's the aql, everyone? Sorry?
Consciousness?
It can fall under that realm, but intellect. Intellect. Okay, the intellect. So this is something to keep in mind. And what gives the nafs energy? I'm just going to write down body over here, yeah? Because the things that you put into your body, that's what gives your nafs energy, isn't it? That's why someone also control their desires. What did the Prophet say for them to do? They should? Fast. Because when you decrease the food that you eat into your body, then it helps you control your nafs. And that's the whole purpose of Ramadan, isn't it? You decrease your food and water, help you control your nafs, so you can work on your qalb in the month of Ramadan through night prayers, through recitation of the Quran, so that will give rise to your ruh, and in the month of Ramadan you are able to desire to want to connect towards Allah. So this is a very important structure to keep in mind. And when a person, so just one more thing. So the nafs is the base carnal desires or energy that Allah has created. So it's not evil in itself, it's not inherently evil. But of course, this is where, when a person does have evil traits, a lot of these evil traits also come from their nafs as well. And it's influenced by the body, and it's influenced by the environment as well. So what you put into your body actually affects the nafs as well. So if you're constantly overeating, it will affect the nafs. And your environment that you're in also affects the nafs. Now this is very important to keep in mind. Before we go dive deep into the qalb, yeah? It's important to always remember the structure. And especially as people who are going through life, it's very important to keep this in mind. Especially, okay, let's give an example. When a person doesn't have the desire to worship Allah, they don't have the desire to read the Quran, they don't have the desire they don't find pleasure in worshipping Allah, then this is a sign that their ruh is ill. There's a sign that they have something wrong with the qalb, or something wrong with the nafs, or perhaps even the intellect as well. When there's no desire from the ruh. It's like, for example, when a person becomes ill, what's the first thing that they lose?
Appetite.
They lose the appetite, isn't it? And They're extremely ill, they lose their appetite and their energy, isn't it? They're bedridden. So when a person is bedridden and lose their appetite, it's a sign that the body is ill, isn't it? Yeah? So this is the physical body. Because the nourishment of the physical body is with the food that Allah is creating in this world. And the appetite of the qalb and the ruh is dhikr of Allah, is the ibadah, is the Quran, is salah. Now when a person has no desire, when the ruh becomes weak, when a person has no desire to recite the Quran, it means the qalb has become sick, or the nafs has taken over, and the qalb has become very, very sick. So it's important to keep in mind, especially, let's say, those who are married. Let me give an example for this. Married, or it could be anyone in life. Anyone. But I'll just give an easy example. Someone that's married. Yeah? Let's say you're having problems at home. Or let's say sometimes when I do some marital counseling as well, I always use this. When I talk to someone for marital counseling purposes, I always keep this in mind, this framework. Let's say a wife, or it could be a husband. She says, I'm depressed. I'm sad. Now, being depressed, that is the symptom. Now, what's the root cause of depression? What's the root cause of this depression? What I normally think is, the first thing I try and come to is I try and pinpoint where is this illness coming from. Sometimes it's the aql, and many times it's the aql. For a person's body and soul to be in equilibrium and harmony, everything must be intact. So now the aql and the qalb, they come together and they work together to strengthen the ruh, which wants to connect to Allah. And they work together to control the nafs. Now, if the aql is distorted, then the ruh won't function properly. And if the qalb is distorted, the ruh won't function properly. Both of them need to go hand in hand. Now let's say in a marriage, let's say the wife, she said she's depressed. Now the reason could be, it could be the aql. How could the aql be distorted, which would lead her to having an unhappy life inside her house? Give me an example. Anyone can think of anything? In a marital scenario, let's say with a husband. How could something be wrong with the aql, from the realm of the aql, that would lead her to being depressed, sadness in the qalb, and then the ruh doesn't, because the qalb and aql is ineffective, the ruh doesn't really desire to worship Allah. She has no desire to pray salah, read Quran or anything like that. Can anyone think of anything? Something that's wrong with the aql. She's not crazy or anything. She's sane. She's not Bible Majnun. Sorry?
Happiness.
Good, expectations.
Happiness. Happiness in the house.
Happiness is a symptom. Happiness is more of a symptom. It's the end product. So this one, she's gone through depression. So one could be expectation. Why would she have wrong expectations? Well, let's go behind that. Instagram lifestyle. Okay, she's watching stuff on social media, so she has unrealistic expectations. What else? What else could be wrong with her aql? That's leading her to unrealistic expectations. What else could be wrong here? What about knowledge of the Sharia? Expectation in terms of her rights. She may be thinking that it's my right as a wife to be receiving Louis Vuitton bags from my husband, to be going out at least every 2 days to expensive restaurants. Because that's something to do with the aql, isn't it? Yeah? So now if, let's say, the wife or whoever it is saying, I'm depressed, but the aql is not fixed, and you're giving her remedies for depression, doesn't matter how many times you tell her to read the Quran or to do dhikr, if the root cause of the aql isn't fixed. So let's say here, it's not knowing the rights of the husband, the rights of the wife. What's the framework of the Sharia with a husband and wife? If she doesn't understand that, and that is causing the depression, telling her to read more Quran and do more dhikr is not going to fix it. So here you need to bring the aql back into equilibrium, isn't it? She needs to understand and correct her expectations, isn't it? So then once the aql is corrected, then the depression will slowly start to move, and the aql and the qalb will come back into place. And then the Quran will remove reciting the Quran and salah connecting back to Allah, will give rise to ruh again. So these go hand in hand. So sometimes the aql at fault. Sometimes the depression is not because of the aql, sometimes because of the qalb. Let's say, is it salah time? Yeah. Okay, we'll continue after salah inshallah. Where's Adhan? Adhan? We'll continue after salah inshallah. press the button.